About to go live in just a moment. Just checking a couple things. Let's see here. Go live. Almost there. All right, live. Okay, hey everyone. This is Dr. Miles. Today we're just going to talk about how to eat out in a healthy way. I think this uh, causes people to stumble when they're just out with their friends, or they don't want to cook at home and they're just grabbing something on the go. Um, so this is an area that I had to know what I was doing, because if I didn't, I would get sick. So it's one thing if you're like, oh, I'll just have, a little weight gain or a little um, heartburn, not a big deal. It's another thing when you're bloating like crazy. You might have a bad, you might get constipated, you might feel nauseous, you might have a headache, you might have some weird tingling sensations, your mood might be off, you might have diarrhea, you might have a symptom that is not one that you want to tolerate. So that was my situation when I started having digestive issues back in like 2009, 2008, 2008. Yeah. So it took a while for me to get used to that. And I had to be extremely choosy when I would eat out. So I'm from the South. And during this time, well, when it happened, I was first in the South, then I went up north, then I came back down. Um, and so, particularly in the South, you do have to be very choosy depending on where you go. And I grew up in Houston from New Orleans, and we would go back and forth all the time. So, not only do I know how to eat within a city that has a lot of variety, like Houston, and has a lot of trendy health based spots, I also know how to eat on the road, and I know how to eat in places that are very culturally centered around bread, culturally centered around meat, and not culturally centered around health. So I've had to be in all these situations, and I've had to make choices. And my family was very supportive in that. Um, Almost anywhere I've gone, I could find something on the menu. There have only been a few times, I would say maybe 3 or 4 times in the past 14 years or so, that I had to say, no, I cannot eat here. There is nothing on the menu that I can eat. But most times I found something that I wanted. Now, was it always the thing that I felt like eating? Not necessarily, but I was still able to make something that I liked, that it was good. And I was like, this is gonna work right now. So the first thing I would say is you have to be resourceful in that way. And when it comes to eating out and maintaining a diet that's going to be good for your health, it is about understanding that you're going to have to make some effort, and to not go with the crowd and not try to make it easier on the waiter or the waitress or the staff, not try to make it easier on your friends, not try to look like an oddball or weirdo or the health nut. You have to let go of all of that, because you're the one who's going to suffer if you don't. And so you really do have to care enough about yourself and to be strong in the fact that you're going to look different when you start doing these things. And that is okay. And the people who care enough about you will be fine with it. I've only had a couple times where someone had something to say about it. That one of them was close to me, another one was just part of this group of people that I was with. And um, she was just kind of negative in general, just picking on everybody. So she decided to pick on me that day. But other than that, I mean, 98% of the time, everybody is very supportive. Another person, he was the owner of the restaurant, could not understand that he wasn't understanding, I should say, of the fact that his I forget what they call them, but like he uses these things that are it was an Asian restaurant and I forget what they're called, but they're like tortillas, but they're not tortillas, but they're made out of rice. And so most times at Asian restaurants, those items that are made out of rice are just rice, but his also had wheat in it. And I didn't know that until I checked and I was like, can I see what it's made out of? And it was made out of wheat. And there was some disconnect there. But other than that, most people are very friendly. Most people are very accommodating. Most restaurants are very accommodating because they don't want any legal problems. They don't want anyone to have a reaction in their restaurant. So there's a lot of restaurants are very aware that people are going to come in with different allergies, different food sensitivities, and more now than ever, they're better equipped to handle that. So the first thing I would say is that if you're gluten free, ask for a gluten free menu, or what you can ask the waiter or waitress, what are your gluten free options? So they don't necessarily just hand gluten-free menus out like Andy, like they don't really hand them out the way they do the regular menus, but they may in fact have one. So you can ask, hey, do you have gluten-free menu? Do you have a dairy-free menu? Or they may say, no, but we know how to make something gluten-free. We can keep this gravy off of the chicken. We can keep this gravy off the chicken because it has wheat or because it has dairy. So you have to get into those little nuances, and that's okay. And it may seem like a lot at first, but as you continue to do it over and over and over, it becomes very, very easy after a while. Sometimes you do have to push people. I find that the ones who are into their job or want to do a good job, they're more concerned. Whereas the ones who are just there, particularly if they're young or they're not used to people coming in that are really concerned about their health, they may not know what you're talking about if you say gluten. Or there may be an element of you can tell that they don't care. And so for those people, you do have to push them a little bit more. And they may, in fact, then go get like the manager who will help you even better. So I'm just kind of preparing you. Most times it's very easy, but there are some times where I do have to push it a little bit just to make sure that I'm getting what I want, because at the end of the day, I have to care more than anybody else does about what's going on my plate. Uh, so, so the first thing I wanted to say is that, well, I shouldn't say the first, but the first set of items that I wanted to talk about was salads. So like when you're looking at a menu here in America, what you can do is take 2 or 3 different menu items and make up your own thing. So this is like not backwards for you guys, but I'm going to say it anyway. So forget this part for now. Let's just talk about these two. These are 2 salads. Let's just say you have 2 salads on your on a menu. This is romaine lettuce, boiled egg, cheese, bacon, turkey, tomato, avocado, and blue cheese dressing. So it's kind of similar to like a regular Cobb salad, right? And then this one is a spring mix of lettuce, baked chicken, roasted bell peppers, steamed broccoli, and balsamic vinaigrette. So if I see these 2, I am looking at the fact that I don't eat cheese, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat gluten, I don't eat egg. So let's say well, first off, I'm more likely to go for this one. But I kind of want this one today, right? So, but I know there's certain things in here that I can't eat. So what I would do, take this off. I'd say, can you please remove this? Can you please remove this? Can you please remove this? And use this balsamic vinaigrette instead of the blue cheese dressing. And can you just add more tomato, right? So you can do that. Let's say you want this one, but you want egg. right? Can I have some egg in here? I mean, it can really just, it can literally just be that simple. Um, or let's say this was fried chicken and not baked chicken, then you can say, hey, can I have baked chicken instead of fried chicken? They could do that as well. Um, let's see what else. So you see what I mean? Like you can really you can mix things up, even though they're having set menu items. At the end of the day, they have all the ingredients back there and they can make something. And then they'll figure out how to charge you for it. What I would say is if they're gonna charge you, let's say this didn't have bacon, right? And you wanted to add, or it didn't have meat at all, and you wanted to add meat, you may get charged a little bit more. But at the end of the day, is it really that big of a deal if you get charged a couple dollars more? For some people, yes, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, like you won't necessarily have to spend $30 on a medication or a supplement if you stick to eating the way that your body is happy with. Or if the bacon, or let's say, you're going out and you don't want to spend the extra $2 or $4 that sometimes a restaurant will add on if you wanted meat added to the menu item. Then you can just say to yourself, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat meat right now, and I'll just have some when I get home. It's just, and it's not like you're going to starve just because you don't have a certain menu, a certain food on your plate. You can just get it later. So try not to think in those absolutes, like it's, every meal has to be this or that, especially when you're eating out. Um, you got to be a little bit more flexible sometimes. All right, so that's salad. So let's look at burgers, right? So I said that I was gluten free. So this burger has beef, bacon, tomato, cheese, mayo, lettuce, and a bun, of course, the burger bun. So a lot of times, if I want a burger, guess what? That's gone. Burger bun is gone. Now, if it is a trendy, healthy restaurant, they may have gluten-free burger buns. And if they don't, you can always ask. There's a lot of trendy restaurants, even if they're not per se health conscious. Because I know that they're popular and they're trendy, I'm going to ask, do you have this in a gluten-free form? So like if it's a breakfast place, they're not always going to tell you that they have gluten-free pancakes for whatever reason on the menu, but you can ask, do you have gluten-free pancakes? Do you have gluten-free bun? If that's something that you want. For me, the bun is not that big of a deal all the time. In fact, I just look at it like a lot of extra carbs. So, and it's very filling to me. Now, I'm now to the point where a burger bun is very, very filling to me. So it's not like I really need it that much. So I can say, okay, just give me everything else. Actually, I don't want the mayo because I don't eat egg and I don't want the cheese. So let's again look at these two burgers together. This is a turkey burger, pickles, barbecue sauce, cheese, mushrooms, ketchup, and a bun. So again, I don't want the bun, but I want something else on here. So can I have the pickles? You know, um, or maybe you feel like this is not going to be enough by itself now that you don't have a bun. You could say, hey, do you have a small baked potato? Instead of fries, right? Try to think more in terms of whole foods, really, good cooked whole foods instead of fries. Or do you have a side salad? And so then essentially you would make, like a half a burger and then half a salad, have a whole burger without the bun and then a salad to help fill you up. Um, so let's say this is, yeah, turkey pickles. Again, I don't want the cheese. And maybe I don't want the ketchup because I know most ketchups have high fructose corn syrup in them. So if I want ketchup, I'm probably better off getting my own ketchup, having my own burger at home, getting my own ketchup that has no high fructose corn syrup. And actually, I used to be pretty allergic to ketchup when I was younger. So for me, that's why I'm particularly crossing that one off. Um, and I just notice even now, if I have too much ketchup, I don't feel that great the next day. So um, I grew up as somebody like even when I was eating more fast food and having, um, a lot of times people would do like chicken nuggets with ketchup. I was the one who always had chicken nuggets with barbecue sauce instead. So I hope through this you can kind of see how you mix and match. Um, Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Okay, so let me do one more. Screen. All right, so let's say you have a chicken dish, just a basic cooked chicken dish, right? And it comes with asparagus and a sweet potato. But even though that looks all nice and like simple, the asparagus has butter in it. And the sweet potato is a loaded sweet potato, loaded baked sweet potato with sour cream and butter and bacon, right? So because I'm dairy free, I don't want all that butter. So I'll say, hey, instead of butter, can you like saute it in olive oil instead? A lot of times people have olive oil. Or if it's not olive oil, they can just do steamed asparagus. With the sweet potato, maybe you just want the sweet potato and you don't want the sour cream, the bacon, the butter, and all that. So you say, can I just do that instead and just have the sweet potato by itself? So some of you may be thinking, well, that's not fun, but that's not the point. The point is that you're still getting this. And that is a beautiful that's a beautiful meal. It satisfies proteins, carbs. Um, and again, if you're putting like in the olive oil, you're gonna also get in some fat. The chicken's probably also gonna be fried in some oil or some, pan fried in oil. Um, Try not to always look at going to a restaurant as entertainment for your taste buds to a degree that it's going to hurt you. Um, so this is how I have to change things up a lot of times, especially if it's like a, like a steak type of restaurant. They're very likely to do all of this to your green vegetable. So you do have to ask, hey, what do you do to the asparagus? Do you saute it in butter? Do you put cheese on it? So also just make sure as you're reading the menu item that you're reading it in full detail. There have been a couple times where I was reading too fast and I just missed that they put cheese on it. Other times I just feel like they didn't tell me on the menu that they were going to put cheese on it. And then even if they come back to me with a full plate and a dish fully made and everything, it's like at the end of the day, no, I'm sorry. There was no cheese on the menu. Can you please take this back? And it feels like a waste sometimes, or it feels rude, but at the end of the day, that was on them that they didn't put it on the menu. It's not on you, and your stomach matters in terms of your health matters. So be courageous enough to say, hey, I didn't realize there was, or even if it was your mistake and you didn't know the cheese was on the menu, it's okay to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that there was cheese on this. Can you take it back and just just take the cheese off? So even though that may feel, oh, like, oh, I'm sorry, I feel guilty or anything like that, at the end of the day, it's a mistake. It's not a big deal. Just say what you need to say so that at the end of the day, your meal comes out the way you want it to be. So let's see, what else can we do? I'll do one more. Um, Pasta. So Italian restaurant, right? Or it doesn't even have to be Italian. But let's say it's pasta and you want to know, first off, I would say if you want pasta and you're trying to be gluten-free, just go somewhere that you know will have gluten-free pasta on the menu, because if it's my what I've noticed is that most times if it's not on the menu with pasta, they probably don't have it. But you can ask, hey, do you have gluten-free pasta? Or if they don't, there's a lot of other things on the menu that are not pasta based. And so usually it would look like, chicken and salad or something like that, or chicken and spinach. And so even though you love pasta, right, you would just have to forego it. And you get used to that after a while. It doesn't feel that great for a while. And I would just say keep going, because eventually your body will just be like, all right, I got it. I can't do this when I go out. And then you're gonna start to realize how resourceful you can be at home in cooking the things that maybe you can't have out. So let's say it's pasta. Let's do brown rice pasta, because that's mostly what people will have, or it'll be made of like egg and corn, which I'm not a fan of. Rather, it just be like brown rice pasta or glass noodles. Glass noodles, you can probably find it at an Asian restaurant, or it will be, they'll call it rice noodles, glass noodles. Um, Glass noodles can be made out of like kelp or mung bean. So I like them. They pretty much taste like pasta. And then you can add in whatever else you want after that. Of course, if it's in an Italian restaurant, there's probably gonna be some cream-based sauces. And so I would encourage you, if you're dairy-free, to stay away from the cream-based sauces. Just do more like an olive oil, lemon, garlic, something like that. And so with all that said, you have a lot of wiggle room to play around with when it comes to eating out and making sure that you have, at the end of the day, a meal that actually works well for your stomach. So another one that I may do a little bit later on is eating out when you're on the go, and you're on the road and there's not a lot of healthy things around. But I just wanted to show that one to you, because I feel like I remember having this conversation with someone who was vegan, and she was saying it's so hard to eat out. And I just showed her how to do this, and it was like a light bulb went off, and she's like, oh, thanks. So I didn't realize that other people weren't doing that. And I think that may be why people have trouble when they go out, is because they think they have to eat the menu item just as it is. And I have not been that way for about 14 years. Almost everywhere I go, I'm changing up something. So these conversations that I'm saying that you got to have sometimes when you eat out, or these awkward feelings, or this whatever that you may experience, I experience that all the time. Now it's to the point that I don't have a lot of awkwardness, because I have people that I hang around that are just aware, like, this is what it is at this point. But for a while, it was just like everybody I was hanging around was kind of new. And so it kind of made me feel a little type of way. But now I'm so used to it because this is just a norm. And so that's why I say keep doing it, because after a while it will become a norm and you won't be fazed by the initial things that might get triggered for you when you start changing up how you eat when you eat out. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you. These are things that I talk to my clients about all the time as well. And so if you're needing even more details on it, do consider booking a consultation with me. And my name is Dr. Devin Miles. I do telehealth consultations for prevention, irritable bowel syndrome, also known as IBS, as well as kidney disease and more. So feel free to book a consultation with me at drdevinmiles.com, and I will see you guys a little bit later. Take care.